Hello everyone, I'm aMayesingGamer and welcome to the Builder Base 2.0 behind the scenes with the Clash of Clans team. Yeah, we're gonna get right into it because it's a longer video.
Hey Clashers, welcome to
Are you in 1080?
an extra special episode of Clash On. We're going to have several members of the Clash of Clans team sit down in a roundtable discussion to talk about the thoughts behind why we changed Builder Base, what are some of the new features that they each worked on, and kind of give you an insight into how we develop new content for Clash of Clans. Without further delay, meet the Clash of Clans development team members who have a story to tell about Builder Base 2.0. So Clash of Clans, we've got it divided into what we call 3 different columns or pillars, starting with the home village. Now that is the main source of all of the clashing action, where it's a social experience of you building your village, going to war with your clan.
I personally didn't see Builder Base that confusing. It's more confusing now, but I didn't see it as confusing because you just attack like the normal village, and that's it. So I don't really see how it was confusing.
And now we have the clan capital, which is meant to be you and the rest of your clan exploring these ancient ruins and kind of rebuilding the archaeological remains of a lost empire. Now, Builder Base is meant to feel like a much more personal adventure into unexplored territory. We released this back in 2017?
I mean, that's exploring different places. That's like the campaign. I don't understand what they were trying to do with Builder Base. It was just another clash, but like it was just another clash base. I don't understand what they were trying to do with it.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I'd only been with the company for 2 weeks when Builder Base was released. So you, being one of the veterans on the team, what was some of the original ideas on why we released Builder Base in the first place?
Well, we wanted to have like a second village. The community was asking for it. There was like major problems with the home village, like the clouds and stuff like that, battles.
And instead of fixing the regular village, they just made a second one.
Were too complex. We wanted to have simpler battles for players who didn't like want to sort of like train like huge armies and
yeah, like the early town hall experience was getting a little bit too, kind of like how Builder Base is now, right?
Yeah, and we just wanted to have some fun place where players could play like simple battles, sort of like a second base. Yeah.
And also the environment of Builder Base, because players had asked for a night mode.
Yeah. Well, that was sort of like a no-brainer. Like, we need to do this in a night mode. We didn't have sceneries during those.
Just make it. Just do a day and night cycle. Like, literally just. Like, I think it would have been cool, instead of doing like this stuff, right? If they tracked your phone's like time, right? Like, it wouldn't do anything to the game, obviously. It wouldn't like benefit you in any way. But it would track what time it was. So say it's like 9 o'clock for you and the sun's down, your village, your home village, would be dark. And if you attack someone who's like, what, noon, theirs would be in light mode. So you know the different like time zones that you're going to. I mean, I think that would have been cooler rather than just having a second base where it's always dark and always light. I just don't see that.
Days we didn't have any plan of doing sceneries, so it was sort of like okay, we need to do like this really cool looking like a outpost for the home village, and it needs to be like night mode.
There was this problem in the Builder Base where spells really like made a difference in the home village, but we didn't have the same in Builder Base, right? Like you.
Let me tell you right now, home village spells don't really do anything. I have the earthquake spell. I have 4 earthquakes that completely destroy walls no matter what level. The AIs just completely ignore that, and I hate it so much.
You kind of deploy your units and then you just watch.
There's this very core issue where players can do a very good attack, get 90%, and unfortunately they lose because the other player did better, or they do an attack where it's like 30% of an attack, but they still win.
I had quite recently, since joining the Clash team, played through Builder Halls 1 through 6. So I had this first-hand experience of how much fun the game is at those lower Builder Halls and how engaging it is with that small-scale tactical combat. As you progress, you do start to hit an increasing amount of complexity, and progress really does slow to a crawl. For me personally, it went...
Because it's so expensive, and the upgrade times are insane. They're like weeks. It's not months.
From being my most played mode in the game to probably my least.
Stuart made this AMA where someone asked, can you remove builder base? And Stuart answered, I can, and I didn't. Because to us, like, we don't mind taking big risks.
We know it's like super challenging to make big things, but we enjoy those challenges. We try to take like these big risks and do things that other people wouldn't do.
I think it's really important to just address also all those issues, because those just become more and more annoying the more you play the game.
Because we didn't have the resources to focus on Builder Base beyond Builder Hall 9 years ago, there were a few ideas of what we wanted to do to sunset it, including just once you got Otto, that was going to be the end of it, and you never touched it again.
Yeah.
Another one was a Boom Beach style mega crab, right? There was no end goal in sight for Builder Hall.
Yeah, like, because also like adding more builder halls would just be compounding the problem, right?
Yeah.
Like Builder Hall 10 in the current way would just make the bases bigger and more like the problem you were originally trying to solve by keeping it small and tight, right?
Yeah, for my playstyle, it already was that in Builder Hall 8 or something like that. It was way too complex for me.
Yeah.
And I'm a simple guy. Like I play the whole village sort of like it's sort of like a farming. I just like to keep it looking nice.
I suppose like our goal was to just try to solidify what's like really good during that honeymoon period of the builder base, and just getting rid of all that like bad stuff that starts to happen like after Builder Hall 5.
So we're looking for a way to have players enjoy Builder Base more.
Builder Base was so simple though. Like I get it had multiple. Like it was getting to the complexity of an actual home village, but I don't know. I think they should have just kept the layout. Like they should have kept the layout of the bases more, right? They should have like kept. I personally think they should have just kept the bases the same. One base, but you have a few more troops and you give them those power-ups, right? That they have now. I think that would have been cool. But I guess we'll hear what they have to say.
Where did the idea to redesign the builder base came from?
Wow, I think it came from the whole team, right? Like it started as discussions. We had kind of two ideas, and one idea was mainly from
But what's the story?
and Alex, and they came up with this idea where you have multi-stages, and then you can split the village like that and always keep it small. We had also some other idea of like just selecting a few buildings
What's
to
the
be
story
active in your
behind
village,
it though?
and we decided that
Like that's the thing. What's the story behind it? Because literally their trailer for it, right, was that the builder breaks into a cave full of gems, and then there's just a village there. And then your builder base gets cut in half. The story that they did doesn't make sense.
it was better to have all your buildings available to defend.
We discussed in a team offsite together to come up with like what we don't like, and have the ideas of how to fix those. And we saw the opportunity to go back to the builder base, this third pillar, I would say, where players can also enjoy the game.
Yeah, it's been on our minds for a while now as well, and we've been aware of the concerns that the players have had. But it's just the whole team, we were so busy working on the other updates. First we had the clan capital, and then after that we had TH15, so everybody was super busy.
Yeah, see, if you're adding more work for yourself, because now you have 3 different bases that you have to update and keep track of.
With that, but now it just felt like the right time, and we were all on board for it and went with it.
Yeah, it felt like the right time to take a big risk and do something completely different with Builder Base.
So one really cool change that we've done to Builder Base is also change some of the models and also some changes to the environment. So you guys are the artists, so why don't we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's going to be like an improvement on visual quality, like a
audio
old
product.
hero and the new hero. They are now 3D, better animations, all the cool stuff.
Okay, yeah. So we did a revamp of the initial, the main area that you're familiar with, because we're not going to the much bigger bases. The size of the
I don't know if the animations are necessarily better.
And now there's the gate that you go through and pass into the next area, and we're hoping that we can make more and more of these, and you can swap them around and kind of build your own kind of story that you let other players come in and compete in, right? So when they come to your base, you might have a mountain, you might have a forest, you might have like, I don't know what we'll end up doing, but we'll try to make them as cool as we can.
What?
So something...
My audio is taking a shit. What do you say? I don't know what we'll end up doing.
But we'll try to make them as cool as we can.
So something important to players is the knowledge that if they have already unlocked Otto, the second builder for Builder Base, or the 6th builder for Home Village, let's be honest, if you have unlocked that additional builder, you will keep that additional builder. That will not change. What we have changed is that at Builder Hall 6, now you unlock a dedicated second builder for the Builder Base.
Which I have.
Builder Hall 9, you still unlock a 6th builder for the Home Village. We've just changed the name slightly. So Otto stays in the Builder Base and arrives at Builder Hall 6, and we have a new, definitely not a robot builder, Bob, who arrives at Builder Hall 9. The new Otto, who unlocks at Builder Hall 6, he comes along with Otto's outpost, which is the hall, essentially, at the center of the 2nd stage. Whereas Bob, he's unlocked through quests, similar to how Otto was previously unlocked, but we have changed those quests so that they are more appropriate for the redesigned Builder Base.
Also, just the Builder Base having 1 builder at the moment, you get the second one on the 6th Builder Hall, but that can go to the main village. But right now we're introducing 2 builders that'll be full-time for the Builder Base, so that'll be pretty nice. You can build faster, and that'll make things interesting.
The new stages open up at Builder Hall 6. So when you get to Builder Hall 6, there's a little cave that's now been added to the map, and that becomes the 2nd stage. So you can now split the defenses between the 2 stages. You can pretty much mix and match. And the idea is to keep these small tactical battles without increasing the complexity of the size of the map.
With the team, I think we kind of came up then with this idea that, okay, what are the ways we could...
Okay, well, so the size is not complex anymore, but now your defenses are complex, because now you have to decide what is going to be good and what's going to be bad for the different areas.
To just utilize like everything we have into Builder Base and grow it, but still kind of keep it small. So, so this multi-stage approach was one of the ideas.
First idea was like, maybe you have a bunch of buildings and you pick one of them, a few of them, to go to your village. But that wasn't very interesting because you could just not care about some of the buildings, right? So we came up with this idea that you start building a base. When it gets too big, we start in the second one. And then you attack those 2 bases, still every building counts. Every upgrade matters. And that's really where it came from.
Yeah, I remember some early ideas as well, thematically, like you would go down this cave and there was this elevator or something. It was pretty cool, but yeah, we ended up like having this second village next to your main or Builder Base village, right?
You can pick whichever defenses you want to go on the first stage and which will go to the second stage. And I'm really excited to see what players are going to do with that. They're going to do like this very strong air defense on the first stage to do like counters to air, and then a lot of ground defenses on the second one. Is they're going to do like a balanced defense. I'm really interested in
Makes
seeing what
sense.
players come up with this new mechanic that makes kind of builder base very unique.
Everyone really enjoyed the smaller bases, and we know that like we have a little bit of a problem in like teaching players more complex strategies. And with fewer troops and more puzzly kind of bases, we give the players an opportunity to learn and practice some of those smaller strategies that they can then, scale into the home village, right? So that was kind of the idea, is that we can give them these smaller, kind of less troops, more focused puzzle kind of experiences. And then obviously we can't just cut half of the content, and we need some way of keeping it going. So that's when the designers came up with this idea of doing stages. So like going deeper into the builder base, into this wilderness, this new land, and kind of explore.
Like, and then there's another thing over here. Like, I think instead of having the cave area, well, I don't know. I wish they had done the visuals a little bit better, because like they do this great thing where it's like the chasm, right? And it is a smaller base. But then when you get to the game, it's just a flat gem area. It's like they should have had the bridge and like done something cool with that rather than just have it be another flat plane. But I understand they did that because like space for troops and stuff.
Exploring. Some of our early ideas were like this dungeon crawly, maybe you go underground, like into a mountain, that kind of stuff, right?
So it's quite challenging to keep this 2-village attack quick, like snappy, so that you can, we're not dragging out your attack.
I've had long
and
attacks.
it created this new requirement for like cool new mechanics. What can change when you attack one village and then another one, right?
Yeah.
So that was quite risky, but I think we did an interesting job trying to solve the problem.
Also, we're giving troops more power. We're removing troops. We're making troops fewer. We're not removing troops. We're making them fewer. And we're giving some of them abilities, right? So even just attacking feels more strategic now, because you can deploy something and you then have to kind of treat it like a hero in a way, like where you...
I feel like the giant got messed up. I'm gonna be honest, the giant got messed up. It has like 2-3 second invincibility aura that you can activate, but his health is so bad. Like his health is awful, and you only get one of them. I think they should have honestly just kept the giant the same and not had an ability for him, because he was powerful before the update, and now he's kind of shit.
You have to actually activate an ability to take down your opponent's defense. We made it hard. It's
hard.
really difficult now.
It's
It
really
is.
hard for me, at least. I don't know about you guys, but to get a 6-star.
Like,
but
like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? It makes it, yes, it's simple in design, but now it's complex in having to actually do fights. And people didn't want complex fights. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
The 6-star is like I got it once, and that was
I did as
the
well.
balancing was
That was
a
at the
bit different
beginning.
back then, so it was a bit easier. Now,
Well, sometimes it's too hard, sometimes it's too easy, right?
yeah, and I think Petri still gets 6 stars,
Well.
and that's important.
I really like how we now have these 2 components kind of split, that you can like really improve in attacking, and you're gonna see the results from that. You're gonna get more trophies and you're gonna climb the ladder. But if you don't change your defenses, they're gonna stay having the same results, and you're gonna kind of start to lose trophies there. So you have to kind of progress in the 2 sides at the same time. So it's kind of like really solves that problem of just staying with the same defense forever, and it makes more fun.
So one thing players have to understand is that they can get attacked while they're online, not like in the home village where you actually have to be offline. So if you are playing in the builder base and someone attacks you, you're gonna see an icon appearing on top of your elixir card. And if you want to, you can go observe the attacking.
Huh? You can... What? That doesn't make sense. I thought the builder base is only you attack when... Huh? I thought for Build a Base, you have to hit the attack button in order to get attacked. Now they're making it sound like the home village. It doesn't make sense.
In real time, or you can just like do some other things, do more attacks and everything, and just wait until the attack is completed and collect the reward from the
Is that correct?
You might notice that there's no builder hall in the second stage. Instead, there's the Otto outpost. And it works a little bit differently. Once you destroy Otto's outpost, it actually spawns a few sappies. And yeah, they're pretty nasty to deal with. But maybe one thing that might help you.
Yeah. No new defense rewards. You take a defense for every attack you start. Yeah, so you only ever get attacked if you initiate an attack. It's not... Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't understand why they made it sound like you can get attacked. I don't know. They made it sound like you can get attacked even if you're not online, or like doing the attack yourself, which doesn't make sense because it's the other way around.
You deal with those sappies is the reinforcements. And the reinforcements are these troops that you get once you actually get to the second stage. They're there to help you. You can still swap them out to any troop that you want. So you might take a look at the second stage and plan out a little bit, and you notice that you're stuck with few barbarians and whatnot, and at least you have those reinforcement troops that you can actually swap out to whatever you might need to defeat the second.
Those are nice.
You don't
I use the
lose
dragon.
while
It's
you're
not that
attacking,
great
right?
though.
Like in home village would be really complicated if you are online and you're gonna upgrade something and then you get attacked and you lose loot and now you don't have the resource to upgrade. But in Build a Base, that's not a problem.
So when you enter the battle, you will notice that the UI is a little bit different. Because there was a few challenges we had when we added the abilities. One of the challenges was to keep track of the troops. And what I did there was I added this number to the troop card and bought the health bar. And this now made it a little bit easier to keep track of the troops. The second challenge we had was now we also need to keep track of the abilities. And what I did there was I added this ability bar next to the number and also above the health bar. And it basically shows if you have used...
Yeah, look how messed up the dragon and the giant are getting.
And then finally, I also increased the health bar size a little bit.
I think it's messed up, man.
I noticed that now it's like super important to keep track of the troops' health.
So another thing that I really enjoy about the new system is how if you want to keep attacking, you can do so and you will still get rewards for that. So with the old system, once you'd achieved your star,
I do like that. I do like that.
There wasn't really much value in continuing to play, unless you just wanted to continue to play, which of course is valid. But what we have now is a system where you can continue to attack and earn those defenses and earn that builder gold and correspondingly continue to
I
earn
love that.
elixir for your
I do love that. That's really helpful.
defenses. You only get the star bonus the once, but you can continue to get rewards by continuing to play just like in every other mode.
Something new that we've added to Builder Base are heroic abilities for the troops.
The idea actually comes from one of our client engineers, Simiao. So yeah, we started some prototyping, right?
Yeah, during the winter break, Simeon and I were still working, actually by ourselves, and we decided to start doing a bunch of troop abilities and trying to figure out like the actual size of the builder base. It was like 1 month, just me and him going at it on the builder base too.
When I was playing the old Builder Base, I used to really enjoy the part of like using the abilities for the hero, even though it was just cooldown and you just wait a little bit, and then when it's ready, it's almost always the case that you just want to press it. It was still like fun to wait and like watch what's going on, and I thought that it would be really cool if we had a bunch of that in the Builder Base, like a bunch of troops that have abilities and they have different triggers, different kind of...
I feel like you should have done something with the super troops, like being able to test those out. Because like in the main village, you have access to those, but I'm sure a lot of people use them. But for like new players and stuff, it doesn't... I feel like having a free option to try those out would be fun, or at least have a demo of it. I don't know if there is a demo of the Super Troops, but it would be nice to get that just so we can try it out before we spend our resources on them, you know?
Situations where you're gonna get most value of the ability, so you kind of like watch and kind of cheer for like, oh, I really hope this troop gets into this state so I can get like really a lot of value from this ability. And you have to kind of watch your troops.
Do you know how hard that
and
is?
stuff like that.
There's at
Less,
least
like,
20
spam
troops.
and leave, but more like play some troops, watch them, use abilities, kind of mimicking some of the hero abilities that you get later on in the home village.
First troops that we tried to prototype, and
I guess that's true.
that we just didn't have the mechanic in the game was taunt. We had this kind of giant with taunt. We just painted this giant pink. For the logic, we didn't have anything to reuse easily, so the just like hacky way to do it was make all the other troops invisible for 1 tick. And then like all the buildings are gonna attack the troop that's not invisible. It doesn't really work as a final code, but for prototyping, it was really fast.
But I think for the most part, we've got like some of the base troops that you first get are just 4 or 5 barbarians go, very simple, right? And then as you kind of unlock the troops, they get more complex, right? So how you interact with them becomes a little bit more complicated.
Something we care about a lot when doing these troop abilities is that they need to be clear for players watching an attack. When you look at a certain troop attacking a certain building, you need to understand that that troop has or doesn't have the ability for you to use. The giant, for example, has this potion in his belt that shows up when he has the potion to drink and get.
I never actually recognized
Baby
that.
dragon has a fire in his tail that indicates that baby dragon has an ability to be used. So we try to get more troops with different kind of indicators.
I never actually
tell
realized
the player this troop has an ability to be used.
I mean, you can just follow the bars as well. Like those will tell you if you have it or
That have
not.
activated abilities. The giant, he gets a one-time use of a
8
shield that
seconds.
makes him invulnerable for a few seconds.
That's much
It's really
longer
good to
than I
use
thought.
on situations where he drops in the middle of a bunch of buildings and you need to protect him.
The bomber is another troop that has activated ability. Once the ability is
230,
used,
holy
the bomber drops a big bomb and it bounces 3 times, destroying a lot of walls and the defenses.
Another
230
troop
isn't
that
a
has
lot
an
of
activated
damage.
ability is the cannon cart. And it's a bit unique in the sense that it has 2 modes. So when you activate the ability, the cannon cart switches to a stationary mode, where it has huge range, but it doesn't move. You can actually activate it again, and it starts moving again. And you can do that however many times you want, and it's very cool to kind of like place it in a strategic position where all the defenses can't reach it, but it can reach the defenses.
The Night Witch
And then
gets a
it
bit of a
dies.
rework of her ability. Currently in Builder Base, when she dies, she spawns a bunch of bats, but now you get the ability to choose when to spawn those bats. You can use the active ability once to spawn a bunch of bats. They're also in range now, which makes them stronger for a while.
Interesting.
And if you use the ability early, when she dies, she's not going to spawn them.
There's also dropship. It drops a bomb. The bomb explodes and destroys a bunch of walls. And then on top of that, it also spawns a lot of skeletons, which is like perfect to overtake the defenses.
Super P.E.K.K.A, when she's defeated, she explodes and does a lot of area damage around her. So now you can actually activate that by using her ability.
During one lunch, we came up with this idea
cool.
that
I didn't
Night
actually
Witch
know
would
that.
recall the bats. And this got like really crazy because you can imagine, let's say you have like 3 Night Witches on the field. The bats start swarming in. And then when you activate one Night Witch ability, all the bats move towards that Night Witch. It sounded cool on paper, but it was like really
That'd be so much
hard
lag.
to use
That'd be
that ability.
so much
and also,
lag.
most of the times the bats just flew over defenses and died anyway. Like,
Yeah.
so it didn't end up being that fun to use.
So the giant was pretty challenging. We tried many different ideas,
Yeah.
but it was somehow not working.
Yeah, we started out with this taunt ability that will get all the defenses to attack the giant that taunted them.
That would be so cool. That would be so cool. Rather than having, because I don't like the giant anymore. His health is not enough. And obviously because he has that 8-second invincibility. The taunt makes sense. I think having the giant have like, let's say 1,000 health, that's way too much, but just let's say that number. And then having it taunt. Then every single giant or every single defense within the radius, and you could have that radius ring to show you how, like, which ones would get taunted by it. It would focus on them, and then once they die, it goes wherever. But I think that would have been really cool.
But it was quite technical. It was kind of fun, but technical, a little confusing. So we went to another ability which allowed the giant to jump, kind of like El Primo from Brawl Stars, do a big jump and fall on the
That would have been
defense,
cool as well.
and doing damage. But then the bomber wasn't really that useful anymore, right?
Okay, two things. I think there could have been two things. Giant jumps over the wall, does the taunt ability, so all of the defenses are on the giant in the middle of the base, right? Bomber is able to then break the walls for the other troops. I don't like what they did to the giant, and I think what they're talking about right now would have been much cooler than what they have right now. Because being able to jump over the wall with the giant and then taunting with him having a lot of health would be really cool. Because right now the way that it is, you put the giant in front, some of the defenses attack him, and then you place the bomber down and the bomber dies like almost instantly because there's a stray cannon that sees it and not the giant. I like what they're talking here. I wish they would have done that instead, but I don't know.
Kind of lost the need to use bombers in an attack. So we actually tried a bunch of different abilities and ended up with this final one which allows the giant to become invulnerable for a few seconds.
I don't like it. His health is shit.
Builder Hole 10, you will get a brand new troop called Electrofire Wizard. Pretty obvious that he deals with electricity and fire.
We have the cannon card, right? And we have this cannon card that has 2 modes. We really like that. So we wanted to have another troop that had 2 modes.
They should have done 2 modes for all of the troops. Except, like, Barbarian and Archer, but, like, they should have done that for, like, they should have had, oh, that would be so much cooler. They should have done 2 things for all of the troops. So, like, Barbarian and Archers would stay the same, right? Bombers would stay the same. Giant would have the El Primo taunt, or it would be the invulnerable, just giant, right? Cannon cart would stay the same. Mortar, the mortar, or cannon cart. Night witch or regular witch. Balloons would stay the same. Baby dragons would probably stay the same. Actually, well, I think baby dragons, if you had, I think baby dragons could become an actual dragon, but that might be too overpowered. I think baby dragons like to stay the same. But, like, I think that would have been cool to be able to switch between what types of, if you boosted your troops in the main village, I feel like you should have been able to choose between those in the builder base. I think that would have been cool. Because the super troops are pretty dope. And I wish they would have allowed you to switch between those in the builder base.
Modes as well. Electrofire Wizard can swap between 2 attack modes. He uses electricity, like the Electro Dragon.
The electricity is better.
Attack that bounces between different buildings. When you swap to the fire mode, the Electrofire Wizard can do this Inferno Tower-like attack.
Like,
there's very high damage to a single target that builds up over time. Being able to swap between
but he dies quickly.
Lets you take advantage of both types of attacks, making the Electrofire Wizard great at any situation.
But early on, we also had many different fun concepts for the wizard.
Oh.
One of them was that he comes from the home village, and then he could never be a wizard, right? And then he ends up getting these gadgets and ends up becoming even more powerful than an actual wizard.
I like the Skelly
He turned
wizard.
away from that idea later on.
One very silly idea that I put forward was something that had gotten stuck in my head.
That would have been hilarious if the cartoon wizard from like every single Clash of Clans like ad got kicked out of the village, so he became absolutely powerful and shit. That'd be hilarious.
About the idea of a wizard who carried around 2 hats and would just change between them so that he could cast different spells. Because everyone knows that the magic comes from the hat, right? And that very silly idea was, I think, the genesis for the much more coherent idea of the Electrofire Wizard.
In Builder Base, the hero so far has been the Master Builder. Because we wanted to increase the tactical variety of Builder Base, I think the obvious choice.
I think Otto should have been in the copter, because you go from the hammer to a copter. I think it would have made more sense if it was Otto in the copter, but
Choice was not introduce a brand new hero, but give Master Builder a brand new machine, which you actually got to name.
Yeah, so we were calling it the Battlecopter, and it's another device that the Master Builder pilots that he made, and it's like a hovering kind of helicopter kind of ish construct.
We've never
I think
had
Otto
a
should
hero
have
in
piloted
Builder Base
it.
before. We certainly have one on the main village, which is the Grand Warden.
I was about to say.
But I think it'll be really nice to also now strategize differently, considering your hero that will also be flying, and it's a really cool one. We've got a battlecopter now.
Yeah.
Because we wanted the troops to feel much more heroic during battle, we gave them activated abilities. So how do we distinguish them between the troops and Master Builder's machines? Master Builder machines, whether it's battle machine or the battlecopter, will now have 3 levels of an activated ability.
When the Battlecopter reaches charge.
It takes so long for those to charge up too, because it's based off of destruction, I think. And the health just don't survive long enough.
Level 3, his ability gets a much wider radius, doing massive damage in a big area.
Obviously, you run the risk of, do I take more damage to my hero while waiting for it to charge to level 3? Or do I use it right now just to give that little extra boost of damage and health points?
If you reach the second stage, you can actually swap the machine. So let's say you go in with the battle machine, you reach stage 2, now you swap it out for a full health battlecopter. That's like super nice.
Yeah, maybe the battle machine gets destroyed in the first attack, but you still have another machine to use in the second one, right?
Master Builder.
Oh shit!
I think
I've been missing out on that.
The classic Builder animation. When he's on Builder Potion, he's just knocking around really fast, hammering around. So I definitely wanted to add that in there, just to have that clash moment, I feel. And also overall the relationship that the Builder will have with the machines. Again, an opportunity as well in the future for us when we introduce skins. It doesn't maybe necessarily have to be a mech. It could be something else completely different without giving away too much. So that'll be pretty interesting to explore, and also the relationship of the Builder with the machines that he's building. Maybe the machine he builds gets too smart, or a bit too powerful that he's jealous of it, or maybe the machine is not basically reacting to how he wants it to react. So a lot of interesting storytelling ideas we can explore. We mainly explore a lot in the menu animations, which are a lot longer, and that's the personality moment of a character. We kind of wanted to really show weight on these characters, right? Both of them. With each step now, you want to see the whole body shaking on the battle machine and also on the air machine. And yeah, just exploring the weight, making the attacks feel a lot more heavier and interesting, so it reflects in gameplay, and hopefully players can engage with them a lot more.
When we were first talking about how do we explain the stages, and there was talk about like roguelite, kind of like card collection, there was all sorts of discussion that really
No, not card collection. That is Clash Royale, and that game is a mess. No card collection.
But we like this idea of like going into something, like you're going into a dungeon, like a tabletop RPG, kind of like where you get your miniatures out, and you're like going through the rooms, right? Like that kind of feel is what we want.
If you're making an RPG game, just make a separate game. Stop trying to put it into Clash of Clans.
Right? And that's a little bit reflected in the loading screen that we have, where we want to show characters coming into a...
Just create a tabletop-based game. Clash Mini was kind of like that. remember seeing gameplay on it. I never got a chance to play it, but like just create a dungeon RPG game where maybe you have these characters and you upgrade them and do card collection and stuff. Don't have it, like Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, it's all about fighting players. Like, create a game where you're just fighting AIs. Like, the Goblin campaign is fun. Like, that makes sense. But they're trying to make a game that isn't Clash of Clans, out of Clash of Clans, and it's not working great for them, I think.
A space that they've never been to before and not showing that to the players so they get to seeing the reactions of the characters as they come into this new place.
Now that we have a second stage of Builder Base, how can we continue creating that sense of adventure and exploration and kind of delving deeper into Builder Base?
We're building
Create a campaign
now, so maybe
create a campaign for the Builder Base. Do dungeon crawling for the Builder. That would make so much sense. Instead of having like the home village where there's a campaign, right, where you're fighting goblins, do dungeon crawls for the Builder Base and have the same like troop things where they have their abilities. That makes so much more sense. Oh my gosh, that makes so much more sense.
Builder Hall 11 or 12 or 13 will soon, because we added stage 2 at Builder Hall 6, so maybe the stage 3 would come at maybe Builder Hall 11 or 12 or something. So the idea is that we'll keep adding.
You're gonna make these games like 10 minutes long. Because each stage is you get like 2 minutes, I think, for each stage. Oh my god, this is gonna be ridiculous.
These locations, and through cosmetics, will allow players to collect different skins for each of those stages and then swap them. That's the ambition. We can't do that right now, but that's the long-term ambition.
Just do a dungeon crawl campaign.
Stages that you can then go and theme and design how you want them to look.
And what that actually means from a player perspective is that Builder Base isn't going to be just a set and forget feature like Builder Hall 9 was at one point in its history. This means that there's going to be continuing and ongoing development of new Builder Base content into the foreseeable future. So, basing that on the 3 pillars of our game, there will be new town hall levels in the home village. The clan capital, there will be new capital hall levels as we go to the clan capital. And the same thing goes for Builder Base. Builder Base will see ongoing development as a core feature of the game. So with these 3 pillars now in place, we have an ongoing development of 3 different parts of the game that will seem alive and active constantly. Thank you for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed this truly...
I think if you... just like there's a practice mode for the home village. Yeah! See, that'd be cool. If you want to create a RPG type feel for the Builder Base, you should create a campaign of a dungeon crawl. You should create a campaign like the home village of a dungeon crawl, and then you can say instead of goblins, maybe have the night witch or skeletons be the what do we want to say? The villains? The villains of the game are, then you can have the troops with the abilities be what we can use to go through each. I think that would make the most sense. I think that would make sense. I think that would do a lot for them, and I think it would be enjoyable. But anyways, I want to thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy. I will see you in the next one.